All rise. We will obey. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'Audiència de la Cort Penal International, 8 of word. Please be seated. Wave us as well.
Thank you very much. Court officer, the case, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The situation in the Republic of Kenya, in the case of the prosecutor against William Samuel Ruto and Joshua Rapsang. ICC 0109-0111. We are in open session.
Thank you. Appearances.
Good morning, Your Honours. For the prosecution, there is one change. Melissa Sims, trial lawyer, comes in for Alicia Zago. Otherwise the same. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honours. The victims participating in this case are represented today by myself, Arslan Arenstig, and my colleague, James Mayweather. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honours. Mr. Sang's team remains the same. Dr. Carol Buisman will join us shortly.
The Ruto defence team are the same, with the absence today of Mr. Khan.
Thank you. And in Nairobi, by video link, Counsel.
Yes, good morning, Your Honours. Mr. Juguna still appearing for the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Njuguna. Last evening, after the adjournment for the day, we received information from the registry that the witness requested again to be able to testify in Kiswahili. Is that the case?
Yes, those are the instructions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Counsel, the last time the matter was addressed, counsel were given opportunity to express a view. Prosecutor.
Good morning, Your Honours. Same views as yesterday. I noticed that from the different statements that the witness gave to the prosecution and the prosecution's interactions with the witness has been fully able to express himself in English at all times, even during a later and subsequent 55-2 interview as well. There was an interpreter on hand, but once again, this should cause absolutely no prejudice to the witness. Should he feel any difficulty in expressing any idea, any thought, there's an interpreter on hand and we can resort to that interpreter. But for the moment, what I noticed that he's been able to understand all of my questions and he responds to all of my questions. So I believe that the witness should continue in English. It'll be easier for us and be far more efficient for the court.
Mr. President, may I suggest on my part that the questions to the witness can be made in English and he can respond in Kiswahili, and then his response can be translated to the court. That way we probably would be more efficient. I seem to take the view that the witness understands English and probably has difficulty merely in expressing himself in response to the questions put to him. Yeah, that's what I suggest, Mr. President.
Mr. Upa?
Well, I'd submit that the witness's request should prevail. It's a repeated request. Considering Mr. Catmuth's suggestion, the only problem with that is I should think a bilingual conversation poses its own burdens, and it would probably be better for the witness to as it were, live in Swahili, questions and answers.
Mr. Kiginkato's suggestion is if the witness hears English directly, so that cuts out interpreting the question into Swahili, feeding it to the witness, and then the witness answering in Swahili. But if he hears English directly, so that it's more efficient that way, and he answers in Swahili, that should be fine, isn't it? The point.
Well, I've nothing to add. Maybe it would be a good course to ask the witness whether that's a useful suggestion, or whether he'd prefer, as it were, to live in the moment in Swahili.
And also, I think I should also seek the views of interpreters as whether this sort of arrangement may cause some difficulties. Can it work?
From the English booth, Your Honor, everything that is said in the courtroom is already being translated into Swahili, and we are able to interpret from Swahili back to English.
The point is, if I'm trying to understand your response, do we see awkwardness in your work if the witness hears the question in English? I don't know how that might work out.
From the English booth, Your Honor, we have absolutely no problem with that. The only thing is that the witness should make sure to observe the pause, otherwise there will be overlapping, because we would still be interpreting into Swahili by the time he may start responding.
Right. Witness, back to you on that. The proposal by Mr. Kiginkatwa is that you listen to the question in English, but you can answer in Swahili. Is that something that could work for you?
Yeah, it can work, Your Honor.
All right. In that case, since this is a repeated request by the witness, we should try and accommodate that request in hopes of alleviating unnecessary stress to the witness, if this is something that has bothered him so much as to repeat that request. So let's try this new arrangement. The question will be asked to the witness. Witness would listen to the question in English, but he may respond in Swahili. If you could also respond in English, it might cause more complications, but if it is more efficient for you from time to time to respond in English, we can see if we can also do that, assuming that's not a problem. So let's work on that basis. Witness, the interpreter's request, and I also direct you accordingly to observe the 5 seconds pause. It is important that you do that. You wait for the prosecutor to finish the question, pause for 5 seconds, count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in your mind, and then you start answering your question. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. With that out of the way, let's begin. And by the way, I forgot to remind you yesterday, and I do so today, and that continues to be the case, even if I don't remember to tell you again. You are still bound by the subpoena that was served on you. You remain bound by that subpoena until you've completed your testimony and the chamber has discharged you from your testimony. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia.
Morning, Mr. Witness.
Morning to you.
Your Honors, yesterday I noticed that we did leave off. I think we were in private session. I'm going to aim at continuing in public session. for about 5-10 minutes, but I might have to go back into private session at one point.
Fair enough.
Now, Mr. Witness, yesterday, just to remind you when we left off, you had stated that the statement, 17-page statement that I was speaking about, that you had given to the OTP, was not from you, that it was from the OTP, and you also said that you had found the statement already there with the OTP. Do you remember having said that yesterday?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you some questions regarding how you would have found this statement there with the OTP. And I just want to remind you that we're in public session, so I don't want you to mention the location or the place where you gave the statement or people's names for the moment. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I understand you met members of the OTP to give this statement. Can you explain to us what happened exactly?
The moment I met the OTP for the first time, they gave me the statements that were already made and told me that I should also write them in my hand to look that they are from me.
Now, Mr. Witness, just so we can be clear on this matter, when you say that the moment I met the OTP for the first time, are you referring to your meeting with the OTP in the month of November 2012?
I meant when I met the OTP during that time of writing the statement.
Yes, I understand that, but was that in November 2012 from your recollection today?
I can't exactly remember.
I'd ask to go in private session. 5 minutes, Your Honor.
Private session.
We are in open session, Mr. President.
So, Mr. Witness, we're back in public session. When you first met the members of the OTP on the date they met you for the statement, what happened exactly?
As I met them, they first introduced themselves to me. Then, because it was late in the evening, I had to sleep there. The following morning is when I was given the document to read, and also told that you are supposed to write with your own hands so that I own it to be mine.
So on that second day, did you indeed take the time to read the statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much time did that take?
It took about 2 hours to read.
And what did you do after reading the statement for 2 hours?
Some of the statement that I was given, I rejected them, and there are some which I accepted, which is already now written in my and assigned in my document.
Can you be a little bit more clear on that, Mr. Witness? You say that some of the statement that I was given, I rejected them. What do you mean by that?
The statements that I was given were more than what I have already wrote, but I had to reject others because they could not match with what they want from my region.
Well, how many statements were you given?
I was given 2 statements.
Do you remember how many pages each statement had?
I can't exactly remember.
So you were given 2 statements, and you said that you rejected statement. What exactly do you mean by that?
I say that I was given 2 statements, and I had to reject another one because it was not matching with the region I come from.
Okay. Are we to understand that you rejected one of the statements, one of the 2 statements that you're speaking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you say it didn't match, what exactly was the problem with that other statement according to your version?
Before we go on, what's happened to the Kiswahili? Is he?
It's all right. He was given the freedom to speak in Kiswahili when he feels it's easier for him, but he can also speak in English.
All right, so it's not a surprise. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, the question I ask you is what exactly was the problem with the other statement? You say that it didn't match.
Your Honor, repeat the question.
You told the court, Mr. Witness, that one of the statements you rejected it because the information didn't match. Can you explain that to us?
Because I rejected one because the locations mentioned was not matching with the location I'm coming from.
All right, so let's go back to the statement that was remaining. You said that you took 2 hours to read it. What did you do afterwards?
After reading the statement, I had to modify that statement to suit the investigators the way they want.
All right, just so I can understand you correctly, you said that you had to modify the statement. What exactly did you modify?
What I modified is to give my details, personal details, like name, my location, my age, my marital status, my administrative persons. Those are some of the things I changed in the statement.
Mr. Garcia, can you look at page 9, around lines 18 to 22? There's a lot of things there that need to be explored, isn't there?
Indeed, Your Honor, I'm coming on that.
The reason I say that is so we're fair to the witness. It's out of fairness to him that needs to happen.
And, Your Honors, I can assure you that I will return on that portion. Now, Mr. Witness, you say that you modified certain things in the statement. At the time, were you given a, just so we can understand, was it a typewritten statement or was it a statement that was handwritten?
The one I was given was one typed and another one handwritten.
All right. And just so that we can be clear on the matter, which one of these two did you reject, the handwritten one or the typewritten one?
I rejected.
Okay. Sorry to move in. Let me do this, if you don't mind. Witness, you said the first time you met the prosecutors, it was in the evening, and you slept there. And the following morning, you were given a document to read, and also told that you were supposed to write with your own hands so that you would own it to be yours. What I want to find out from you now is, that evening when you first met the prosecutors, how long did you spend with them?
In the evening, the person who came to collect me took me to the location, and we never stayed with them for so long.
But how long? Can you approximately indicate how long you stayed with them?
I was only taken to the room where I was to sleep.
Did you have any discussion with them?
No.
Thank you. Let's see.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'd just like to clear up the matter regarding this handwritten statement and the typewritten statement. Now, just to get the answer on record, which one of the statements, I understand that you got two statements, one typewritten, one handwritten. Which one was the statement that you rejected initially?
The statement I rejected was the handwritten.
Now, the handwriting on this second statement, were you able to recognize it?
No, I could not recognize the handwriting.
So you're left with one statement, a typewritten statement, and you took, am I correct in stating that for the record you say that you took 2 hours to read it? Is that it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you do after taking these 2 hours to read this typewritten statement?
I had to indicate my details to the statement.
When you're speaking about details, are we speaking about personal details?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what about events that occurred in your region during the post-election violence, Mr. Witness? What about those events? Did you put any of those events in the statement?
Repeat your question, Your Honor.
I'm speaking about meetings, rallies, things that would have occurred in your region during the post-election violence. Did you put some of that information in the statement, in the typewritten statement?
I'm still not getting you properly.
I'd ask the court officer to please put to the witness, to show the witness document KenOTP 008402236, and it's tab, I think it's tab 7 in the binders.
Mr. Garcia, the document is presented to the witness.
Now you see before you a document, Mr. Witness. Do you see that? It's the front page you're seeing of a witness statement.
Yes, Your Honor. I see.
Now, if you look at the bottom of the page, it says signatures. Am I correct in stating that your signature appears there?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like the court officer to show to the witness 00840252. It's the last page, page 17 of the statement.
Page 0252 is presented to the witness.
Mr. Witness, do you see the last page before you? Am I correct in stating that that's your signature that we see on that page?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it says, just for the record, it says, this statement has been read over to me in English language, and it is true to the best of my knowledge and recollection. I have given this statement voluntarily, and I'm aware that it may be used in legal proceedings before the International Criminal Court, and that I may be called to give evidence in public before the International Criminal Court. You remember having read this before you signed it?
I read it, Your Honor, but I was told it is not a difficult task for me to sign it because they'll sort it out.
And just for the record, Mr. Witness, you signed, we can remove the document from in front of the witness, but just so we can understand your testimony, did you sign this document on the second day that you met with the prosecution?
I believe it was the second day signing the statement.
So, if I just go back through your account, you arrive in the evening, you met with them briefly, the next day you meet once again, you're presented two statements, one handwritten, one typewritten, you reject the handwritten one, you don't recognize the handwriting, and then you read over this typewritten statement and you signed it. Is that your version?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what did you do after you signed the statement?
I was told also to give some background of my activities in wherever the place I stay.
Okay. Was this after having read and signed the statement, or is this before you signed the statement?
That was before I signed the statements.
All right. So from what I understand, you were told to modify with some personal information, and you were also told to give some background of your activities. What does that mean? What background of your activities? What are we speaking about? Can you speak about that in public, or maybe we can go in private, Your Honor?
Private session.
Since the statement
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Now, you said, Mr. Witness, that you spoke lengthily about the statements. What did you speak about exactly?
What I'm saying is that the last time I met person number 2, we talked with her lengthily about the calling of investigators, how they will call me, also about the statements that will be there for me to sign, and also I had to ask what will be given to me in return. So those are the areas we were talking about.
All right, let's just go through them one by one. You said that you talked with her lengthily. And just before I get into that, did you, when you spoke to her in the month of August 2012, was that a meeting? Did you meet her physically, or were you just speaking to her through phone or through other means?
I met her personally, physically, in a certain location.
Thank you. Now, when you say that you were speaking lengthily about investigators, what exactly, about the calling of investigators, what was said during that point?
Since she had told me that there are some people who will call you, even before we met for this meeting with her, then she was trying to tell me that whenever you are called by the investigators, you don't hesitate and don't refuse to cooperate with them. So that is why we talked much about the investigators and probably the location that they might need me to meet them.
Anything else? Did you discuss anything else with person number 2 about the investigators? About the calling of the investigators?
The only thing we discussed about the investigators is that she told me there will be statements for you to sign.
All right. And by statements, you understand, or I understand as well, written statements? Is that what we're supposed to understand by that?
The statement she told me is already the written statement.
Did she tell you anything else about the statement?
No, Your Honor.
Did she tell you anything else about investigators calling you?
As we were talking with her, I also asked her what will be given to me in return. That is where we majorly talked about, because as poor as I am, I would like to be also in a very good position, at least to be rich, And that is what she promised me, that everything you need, everything will be offered to you.
Now, during this discussion you had with her, did she tell you anything else, be it about the investigation, about the statement taking, anything else?
She also mentioned that some of the witnesses have been doing what she was telling me to do, though she never mentioned any of the witnesses.
Anything else that person number 2 would have told you about the statement or their content, or the content of the statement?
She never talked about the content of the statement, but she told me the statement is already written. You will go, you will be given, you read it and sign it.
Now, Mr. Witness, during your discussion, your conversation with person number 2, did she tell you that she had given a statement to the OTP?
We did not discuss about her giving out or writing a statement to the OTP.
So from what I understand, this is the totality of what was discussed between you and person number 2 in the month of August 2012, before meeting the prosecution, the OTP actually, in the month of November 2012. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And when did you speak to her next, after August 2012?
I also met her before I traveled to the location I was told to go. Few days as I was preparing for my passport. So we talked with her also at that time.
Can you tell us in what month and year this would have occurred?
That was around December. It was around December, though I can't remember fully.
Are we speaking about December 2012?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you didn't speak with this person number 2 from August 2012 to December 2012, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, just a couple of minutes ago when you were speaking about your interaction with this person, I just want to clear this up. You say at page 22, lines 7 to 13, after I was called by the investigators and given the document, I had to make a call to her and ask her whether there was a problem in that statement. But she had already confirmed to me that the statement that you are going to get, don't worry about it. That is what I also did. And said, from there we just sign it and make it formal to fit you so that it can be presented in the court for prosecution. So you say you had to make a call to her. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, did you speak to her on the day that you received the statement, according to your version, from the OTP, or did you not?
I did not understand the question.
Did you speak to person number 2 on the day, or during the days that you met the OTP for the interview to take the statement, the 17-page statement?
It was only that call that I made.
No, I understand that. So I just want to get now your version correct. So before I asked you if you had spoken, and it seemed to me on the record that you hadn't spoken with person number 2 from the month of August 2012 to December 2012. Now, from what I understand of what you're saying, you spoke with her in November 2012 when the OTP met you and gave you the statement. Is that what you're saying now?
Your Honor, I'm not getting your answer still.
All right. I'll bring you back to it. Page 22, line 7, you said, after I was called by the investigators and given the document, I had to make a call to her and ask her whether there was a problem in that statement. That's what you told the court. Now,
yes, Your Honor.
Did you or did you not speak to person number 2 while you were with the OTP in the month of November 2012? That's my question.
May I pardon, Your Honor? I don't understand what you are asking.
It's a simple question, Mr. Witness. I'll read to you exactly what you told us just a couple of minutes ago.
Mr. Garcia, why don't you take him back to that part of the testimony and have him retell the story. And then you start your question, follow-up question from there. You're repeatedly giving him the block of information that's on the transcript, and he's telling you he doesn't follow. Just let him know. Take him back to the point and ask him to give the information again, and you take it from there.
Now, Mr. Witness, I'm just going to actually try and situate you better, so maybe if you've forgotten, we can get this cleared up. Page 22, line 5, I asked you a question. And I was asking you, I said, now is this all that this person number 2 told you about the investigators and being called? Line number 7, your answer is, after I was, and you say, I was called by the investigators and given the document, I had to make a call to her and ask her whether there was a problem in that statement. But she had already confirmed to me what the statement that you are going to get. Don't worry about it. That is what I also did. And from there we can just sign it and make it formal to fit you so that it can be presented in the court for prosecution. Do you remember having said that this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Now,
what are you trying to tell the court there, please, witness? What are you saying happened?
As I met the person, as I said earlier, we talked in a location for a length of time about the investigators and how they will also give me in return of what I'll sign for them.
I understood that part, Mr. Witness, and thank you for that clarification. I just want to know, because it seems to be when I read this, you say that when you received the document, the statement from the OTP, you had to make a call to her and ask her whether there was a problem in the statement. Did that happen? Did you make a phone call or speak to person number 2 when the prosecution gave you the statement in the month of November 2012? That's simply my question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, when did you make a call to person number 2? Was this on the first day that you arrived, the second day? When was it?
I made the call the second day.
And where were you when you made this call?
I was still in the location where we were to meet with the investigators, but I had been given a break to go at least outside where the sun was, and then I had to make a call.
Well, so you made a call to person number 2, but why were you calling person number 2 at that point?
I was calling person number 2 to confirm that what she told me about the statement is with me there, and if anything, she is the one to guide me whether to sign it, as she had said, or to reject it. Then she told me, just sign it, and then you will be given what they will promise you.
So now if I understand what you're telling us, you read the statement on the second day, and then before signing it, you actually had a conversation with person number 2. Is that it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And from what I understand of your testimony, you felt that you needed her to give you the okay or the green light, so to speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
And why is that?
Because in the previous time as we were talking with her, I was not sure of what she was saying, whether it is true or false. But on that day, I had to confirm to her that what she told me is true, and now it is time for me to sign it.
Now, after you had this conversation with person number 2, did you go back inside to meet the investigator and the lawyer?
That is when I went back to meet them.
And what did you do then?
That was the time I was given that document to sign.
So you didn't have the document with you when you went outside, according to your version?
No, I never went outside with the document.
And did you finally sign this document on that second day?
Though I cannot remember whether it was the second day or the third day, but I signed the document.
All right, so let's clear that up. You had a conversation with person number 2. You went back and signed inside. What did you do for the remainder of the day?
I was left seated in that room as they were taking other activities.
So on that second day, you spent time in the room with them while the investigator and the attorney were doing other activities. How much time did you spend with them like that?
It was about 1 hour before I was taken back to my hotel.
Before you were taken back to your hotel, did you have a chance to sign your statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you signed it on that second day?
That is where I'm not very sure whether it was on second day or third day.
And that's the reason why, Mr. Witness, I was asking you about what you were doing for the rest of the day. And maybe you can help us with this, but if the statement was already prepared for you, and all you had to do was sign it, why didn't you just sign it there on the second day? Why is there a doubt in your mind as to whether it occurred the second or the third day? Can you help us with that?
I believe it was on the second day because on the third day we never did anything with them.
Well, what did you do on the third day?
That was the time I was given my allowances and I had to travel back home.
Now, Mr. Witness, according to the statement I have here in front of me, it says that that the date and time of the interview was from the 8th to the 11th. It lasted approximately 4 days in 2012. Is that correct? 4 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
So not 3 days or 2, but 4 days. I'd asked the court officer to show the witness document 0084-0236. Cover page, please. Mr. Witness, look at the document that you have before you on the screen.
Mr. Garcia, the document is presented to the witness.
Now look at the bottom, Mr. Witness, where it says signatures. You've confirmed before that that was your signature, and the date on it is the 11th. I'm not going to mention the month, but of 2012. The start, and you look at a little bit up above, the date and the times of the interview is 8th to the 11th. Do you see that?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
If you signed the statement on the second day, that would have been the 9th of November. The date here is the 11th of November. Can you explain that to us?
that's why I told you that I've forgotten the time I signed the document, whether it was the second day or the third day. In fact, I was also not aware that I stayed for 4 days.
And that's why, Mr. Witness, I was asking you, what on earth were you doing for so many other days, for 2.5 days, if you had already signed, according to your story, you said you signed your document on the second day after reading it for 2 hours. We're here the 11th. It's 4 days later.
Let's watch our language, please. Let's keep it straight.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can we, court officer, can we also show the witness on that same document, 00840236 at 0252, please?
Page 0252 is presented to the witness.
Just as that happens, my understanding is that the witness hasn't got a paper copy available to him, and it's just individual pages that are being placed on the screen. It's my understanding, and looking at what he's looking at, it looks like he's looking at a screen. Is there a paper statement for him to look at? And if not, why not? He's not my witness, but it's a marked disadvantage, particularly for this witness, I suspect, not to have the document in his hands so he can see it.